Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Python tutorial for beginners. In the last video, I have shown you how to use if statements and else statements in Python. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to use elif statement with if else statements and how to use nested if statements in Python. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a variable and I'm going to ask the user to enter some name. So I'm going to just write enter a name here, and when the user enters this name, I want to compare this name with some predefined names. So in the last video we have already seen how to use if statement, so I can just write name is equal to, and I can compare it with some names. So let's compare it with a name called Max here, and I will give this colon here, and once the name matches this name, I'm going to print the name. So I'm going to just write name entered is and whatever the name provided by the user. So I will just use this name variable here. This we have already seen in the last video. Now in Python you can also use elif statement, and the signature of elif statement is you can just write elif here, and then you can provide some other condition which returns boolean. So I can once again here write if the name matches some other name, for example Leo, and once again I'm going to just print the name entered by the user. And this elif condition I can use any number of time after the if. Let me match this name to some other different names, for example Roy, and the last name will be Ali. So if the name matches Max, this statement will be executed. If the name matches Leo, this statement will be executed. If the name matches Roy, this statement will be executed. And if the name matches Ali, this statement will be executed. Now, if the name entered by the user does not matches any of these names, then we can use a else statement. So we can just write else here, and we can just print a message here. So the name entered is invalid. So this message will be printed when the name entered by the user does not match any of the name I am checking here. So let's run the code and let's see what happens. So now my code is running, and I'm going to give the name Max here, for example, and then press enter, and it prints this message which says the name entered is Max using this statement. Now once again when I run the program and this name matches, let's say some other name Ali, and then when I press enter, it prints the name entered is Ali, which means this statement is executed. And let me run the program once again, and when I give some random string here, it prints the name entered is invalid. Now let's say the name entered by the user is Max and this condition evaluates to true, then this statement will be executed, and the other conditions which we have given using elif statement will not be evaluated. So let's say we will write Max here also. So this condition and this condition is same, right? Checking for the same name, and when I run the program and when I write Max here, only one statement is printed, which is this one. So we can see when this condition returns true, only one statement is executed and none of the other conditions are even evaluated. Now the important thing to note here is you cannot start with a elif statement. You need to start with the if statement. So you need to write a if statement and check the condition first, and then only you will be able to write elif condition. Now it's possible to use multiple if condition, and then this elif will become the part of this if condition, and this will be the separate if condition. So when I run the code once again and when I write Max here, it's going to print two statements. one is using this and other is using this, because this if condition and this if condition are two different if conditions. And once you use elif, so I'm going to use elif here, then this elif is the part of this if condition. So this is how you can use if statement with elif statement and else statement. Now let's see how to use the nested if statement. So I'm going to declare a variable called x, and the value I will assign to x is 10, and then I'm going to write an if condition, and here I'm going to just evaluate whether x is less than 0, and when x is less than 0 I'm going to just print that x is negative. Else, if the value is not less than 0, so I'm going to just write else, then I'm going to just print x is positive. Now let's say I also want to evaluate if the x value is an even number or an odd number if the x value is positive. So under the else, I can once again write if, and then we can just evaluate this condition that if x modulo 2 is equal to 0, which means that when x modulo 2 returns a 0, that means it's a even number, so we can print x is even. Otherwise, in the else condition, I can just write else x is odd. So in this if condition, I'm checking if the value of x is less than 0 or not, and if this condition is not satisfied, then I'm checking whether x is a even number or x is an odd number. So if you remember, indentation here is very important. So this if condition falls under the else condition, right? So this if condition and this else is the part of the else statement. So because we have provided this 4-space indent here, whatever code you write with this indent is a block of code. And what we are essentially doing here is we are nesting one if else condition inside the other if else condition. You can also reverse this condition checking, and you can also say if x is greater than or equal to 0, then the value of x is positive, otherwise the value of x is negative. And this statement you can write under the if condition also, and this is also a nested if else statement. And let me run this program, and you can see x is a positive value because x is equal to 10, and x is a even value. So once this condition is true, this statement will be printed, and whatever if condition is there inside the parent if statement, that will also be executed. And this condition is checked first of all, and obviously this condition is true in this case when x is equal to 10, because when you do x modulo 2, it's going to give us the remainder 0, and that's why x is a even value, and that's why it's printing x is even here. So it's totally possible to use one if else statement inside the other if else statement, and this type of if else statement are called nested if else statements. So that's it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video.